For new players, Nomad survival can be a little bit overwhelming, so we're going to make this new video series that goes over every single option you're going to have when you first get into the game so that you're not overwhelmed and so that you have a better idea of what's going to be best for you. The first video, we're going to start off just talking about the characters. We have 9 different characters that you can play, and you unlock them as you play the game, and through these characters you have a range of different play styles. The Adventurer, the Crusader, and the Cultist are the 3 characters that you're going to have when the game starts, and then you can unlock the rest as you play by doing different achievements and purchasing them in the store. The Adventurer is a melee type character. Its weapon skills horizontal slash, which is it's just gonna fire off a blade that goes out in front of you. It's a very low cost. SP is your mana, so if you have SP regen, your skill will go off faster. So the Adventurer is better for those players that like to be up close. Granted, you have a ton of weapon skills that you're going to get to choose from inside the game, so your playstyle won't specifically be based off the character that you're playing. But the Adventurer, I would say, for the early levels, if you enjoy getting up in the monster's face, go the Adventurer. It's a really fun class. The Crusader is more of a, I don't want to say a tank really, because they don't have any tanking abilities, but they have an AoE aura around their character at all times, as well as a projectile that shoots out in a circle. And this character is really good for those who maybe are a little bit stressed with the beginning of the game. The Crusader is a very safe option for those first 5 minutes, and it'll help you get to the later game just by being the Crusader without any weapon skills. So highly recommend the Crusader if you're having any issues. The Cultist is a great class. I really love the Cultist. It's my favorite character, and the Cultist can one-shot any enemy except for bosses. The cast time is 200 SP, so it's a little bit longer than the Adventurer, but it's so worth it because the explosions actually deal extra damage. So for people that just want to see lots of explosions and one-shot things, the Cultist works really well with a lot of the weapon skills that have to do with explosions, like Curse and max weapon skill size. It's a really fun class. Moving on to the characters that you can unlock, the Ratfolk Archer is one of the ones that you can unlock early. This is one of the few ranged characters where you can actually aim your ability. The Ratfolk Archer is a little weak at the time being, but with the updates on the beta, hopefully we're going to see a better Ratfolk Archer. It's much stronger than it used to be, and I'm looking forward to those updates. So if you want to play a character that's really, I don't want to say safe, but very fun to aim, and like you feel like you have more of input with your weapon ability, I really appreciate the Ratfolk Archer. It's a very fun class. Even though it's a little bit weaker than all the other ones, you shouldn't have any issues clearing any of the maps. The Divine is definitely a very strong character. Its SP cost is much higher because its ability is much stronger. It's just this big AoE explosion that does a lot of damage, and you also are invulnerable for the cast time, so it's very strong. You can use this to like cheese different damages. You can use it to cheese bosses. It's a really good class. The only negative is that you can't move while you're casting the skill. This is also fixed in the beta, so that'll be fun to look at next. But the Divine is a very strong class for really great early AoE clear, and it's very safe. The Quicklink, this is one of the tank classes. Its ability is you take less damage and you run very fast. for lack of better terms, it's very fun. And the damage reduction works really well with some of the defensive passives that we have here in the game. The Quicklink is really fun if you just want to kind of move around a lot, if you don't like standing still. The Quicklink can clear every single map very easily, and it's very good at killing bosses. It has a very high single target damage. So if you're looking to kill the bosses very quickly, I recommend the Quicklink for sure. Moving on to the Necromancer. Necromancer is a very strong class. It is a summoner, as you could guess. Its SP cost is much higher than the other ones, but it is so worth it. The summons work very well with some of the other weapon skills as well as the passives, and you can make it to where you have a whole army of the undead fighting for you. If you like watching things do all of the work for you while you just sit in the middle and collect, this is definitely the class for you. It's a very effective class, works great on all of the maps, and is really good for all of those farming guides. Moving on to the Knight, this is another one of the more, you could call it defensive, but it's somewhat offensive, which, you know, obviously doesn't make sense, but its weapon skill actually brings enemies towards you. It also lets them stack together more tightly so that you're able to take more damage, because the Knight's weapon skill is based off how much damage you take while it's active. You do an explosion after that damage that you take, and it deals damage based off how much damage you take during the weapon cast. So it's very, very fun. You can do a lot of high damage. You can get more mobs to you faster if you're trying to farm and get experience, get coins, get souls, etc. And it's a very, very fun class. The only negative is that sometimes it can get really, really excessive very fast with how many mobs are spawning on the map. So if you're very comfortable with the game, I definitely recommend the Knight. I think it's a higher skill tier just because the playstyle is a little bit different, but I do think it's a very, very viable and fantastic character. Lastly, we have the Whisperer, which is the highest SP cost. The Whisperer, I think, is one of the best classes in the game. It's very, very fun. You could do some really, really cheesy builds, and it's definitely a system that I've never ran into before on any game ever. So I highly recommend the Whisper. The weapon skill is very, very unique. It's very fun. You can use your weapon skill to pick up items and experience and stuff like that. It's a blast. It has high damage, it has great HP regen, and it's also a very safe build because while you're casting it, you can take damage, but your HP regen is so high, you generally don't have to worry about it. You can also lead bosses away from you, and it's just a very safe and, I don't want to say overpowered, but overpowered build in general. So if you want a very unique playstyle, a very interesting character, I highly recommend the Whisper. The only negative is that it is the hardest class to unlock probably. You have to do an achievement called the Sacrificial Altar, which I have a video for if you guys need any help. And once you complete that, you're able to get the Whisper. So definitely slowly work your way across all these characters, figure out which playstyle is the best for you, and if you guys have any questions, let me know down below. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.